Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening: the sensex and the nifty recover from the intraday lows led by Reliance Industries, ICICI and HDFC Bank. IT companies brace for a weak Q3 due to tepid macros and lower discretionary spends. TCS and Infosys will report their earnings tomorrow. American and British forces shoot down a barrage of missiles fired by Houthi militants over the Red Sea. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken meets top Israeli leaders. Tells CNBC the civilian casualties in Gaza far too high. Hamas claims over 23,000 Palestinians have been killed so far.
अगले कुछ वर्षों में दुनिया की टॉप 3 इकोनॉमी में जाएगा.
Prime Minister Modi guarantees that India will be amongst the world's third largest economy in the coming years as he inaugurates the vibrant Gujarat summit. Promises that India will see a high rate of growth over the next 25 years.
When foreigners think of new India, they think of a new Gujarat, Navu Gujarat.
Reliance will help in making Gujarat the global leader in green growth, says Chairman Mukesh Ambani at the Vibrant Gujarat Summit. He expects Reliance to meet half the state's green energy needs by 2030 and to commission the company's green complex in the second half of 2024. Gautam Adani promises to invest 2 lakh crore rupees in Gujarat. Tata Sons Chairman N. Chandrasekharan says negotiations on its semiconductor unit will conclude soon and the plant in Gujarat should start production of chips in 2024. Maruti Suzuki will set up a second manufacturing plant in the state by investing 35,000 crore rupees. US market regulator X, his account is compromised with a post falsely claiming that the SEC had approved Bitcoin ETFs. The regulator clarifies that no such decision has been taken as yet. Boeing CEO David Calhoun says the company needs to acknowledge its mistake after a cabin panel blew off mid-air on an Alaska Airlines flight. Asked Boeing employees to address the fallout and not speculate about what caused the mid-air scare. The government dials ISRO for the digitization of land records. Sources say the Rural Development Ministry is in talks with the Space Agency for geospatial mapping to avoid duplication and prevent litigation. Well, as always, let's start with the market action today. The Sensex and the Nifty recovered in late trade, ending in the green. The Sensex, in fact, added over 250 points, and the Nifty gained about 70 points, closing at 21,618. The Nifty Bank also higher by about 100 points or so, and the mid-cap index gained about 100 points. Also saw a green close for our markets today. And Reliance Industries led the rally with the stock hitting a record high, almost 3% higher, 2650. That is where Reliance Industries closed the day. In fact, the market capitalization of the Reliance Group has now crossed 20 lakh crore rupees. ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank also the big gainers today. ICICI Bank up by 1.5%. TCS ahead of its numbers, closing in the green. Infosys down just about in the red. Remember, TCS and Infosys will kick off earnings season with their results. And the street is expecting a weak third quarter due to tepid macros as well as lower discretionary spending. In fact, Rima standing by now to take us through a preview of what we should expect from the 2 tech biggies, Infosys and TCS. Rima.
Thanks so much for that. So now Q3 FY24 is likely to be a weak quarter for the Indian IT companies. There is the usual seasonality, higher furloughs, but this time the furloughs are expected to be more than normal on account of weak macro conditions. Now Infosys is likely to report a top-line decline. The dollar revenue, according to the CNBC-TV18 poll, is down 1.8% on a sequential basis, and margins too will come under pressure on account of wage hikes. Now, this weakness in the current quarter will result in a likely, guidance cut. Now, the company has already downgraded its full-year assessment of growth twice. But this time, analysts are saying there could be a further guidance cut. So, from 1 to 2.5%, the company could guide for a 1 to 2% revenue growth for the full year. And if you remember, they'd started the year with a 4 to 7% top-line growth. What will the street focus on apart from numbers? Senior level management attrition, there have been a lot of leadership departures, and also the reason for that cancellation of a mega $1.5 billion MOU. But despite the weak numbers, the company has seen a fair amount of upgrades ahead of its results. So JP Morgan, UBS, Jefferies all upgraded the stock and raised the target price. TCS too is likely to report a muted quarter, flat constant currency revenue growth. Margins are likely to be stable at 24.35%. And from TCS, because it doesn't give you an annual guidance, as a bellwether of the industry, we will see signs whether demand is bottoming out, whether there are any green shoots in discretionary spending, what the calendar year 24 budgets are looking like.
Well, it is going to be a busy day for you, Rima. Many thanks for joining us. Earnings season kicking off tomorrow with TCS and Infosys. Now, tensions remain high in the Red Sea. American and British forces have shot down a barrage of missiles fired by Houthi militants over the Red Sea. The US military has said that its largest attack by Houthi on the international shipping lanes in the Red Sea so far. There are no reports of damages or injuries as of now. This is the 26th attack by the rebels in the global maritime trade route since November 19. Israel's military continues its airstrikes in southern and central Gaza. As per the Hamas, more than 23,000 Palestinians have been killed since the war broke out in October. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is on his fourth visit to the Middle East since the war began. He met with top officials in Israel and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Blinken rejected an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, but said that the cost of conflict on civilians is far too high. Tensions also flared between Israel and Hezbollah after the Lebanese militant group launched explosive attacks at an Israeli command base.
We know that facing an enemy that embeds itself among civilians, who hides in and fires from schools, from hospitals, makes this incredibly challenging. But the daily toll on civilians in Gaza, particularly on children, is far too high. We want this war to end as soon as possible. There's been far too much loss of life, far too much suffering. But it's vital that Israel achieve its very legitimate objectives of ensuring that October 7th can never happen again.
Anthony Blinken there speaking on the tensions in Israel. Now, India Inc. turned up in full strength at the vibrant Gujarat summit. Prime Minister Modi, who inaugurated the summit, guaranteed that India will clinch its place as the world's third largest economy in the coming years. He didn't specify how many. Reliance, Tata Group, Adani and Maruti Suzuki announced big investments for the state. Here's the action from day one of the vibrant Gujarat summit.
भारत अगले कुछ वर्षों में दुनिया की टॉप 3 इकोनॉमी में जाएगा.
Attaining the goal of a developed India, wherein Gujarat's role, as always, will be that of a pioneer.
गुजरात बेस्ट डेस्टिनेशन फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट तथा देश के विकास का ग्रोथ इंजन बन गया है. गुजरात तने
Well, some big-ticket announcements being made on day one of the vibrant Gujarat Investor Summit. In fact, at the inaugural session itself, it all began with Reliance Industries Chairman Mukesh Ambani announcing that the Dhirubhai Ambani Green Complex will, of course, take form and shape in Jamnagar in the second half of this year itself, even as the company is also looking to establish a whole new carbon fiber manufacturing facility within the state of Gujarat. Not to be outdone, Adani Group Chairman Govt also announced that the group would invest a total of 2 lakh crore rupees in the state, which he said would result in a total of 100,000 direct and indirect jobs for the state of Gujarat. Suzuki Motor Corp made the biggest announcement for an overseas manufacturing giant. Its chairman Toshihiro Suzuki said that 30,000 crore rupees would be set aside to increase the capacity of the company's Sanand plant to a total of 1 million units per year, even as the company is also looking to establish its second plant in Gujarat, which would take Suzuki Motor Corp's total combined capacity in the state to a total of 2 million units per year. This comes even as the company has experienced 1.7x growth by way of production from India, even as exports have grown by 2.5x. Lastly but not the least, Tata Sons chairman N. Chandrasekaran announcing that the company or the group rather will begin construction of its 20 gigawatt lithium-ion battery plant from the state, even as it's also completing negotiations for the construction of a semiconductor fab plant. As far as the state of Gujarat is concerned, the company says it expects the semiconductor fab plant to begin construction by the end of this year.
आज दुनिया की हर प्रमुख रेटिंग एजेंसी का अनुमान है कि भारत अगले कुछ वर्षों में दुनिया की टॉप 3 इकोनॉमी में जाएगा। आज भारत की प्राथमिकता है सस्टेनेबल इंडस्ट्री, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, न्यू एज स्किल्स, futuristic technology, AI and innovation.
By 2047, as I said earlier, it is a conservative estimate that we'll reach at least 30 trillion in terms of our economy. Panch Pran is the one with which we had targeted 2047 as the developed country goal. But together with it, the emphasis to remove the colonial mindset which has been in us and which is important for us to get over has been very clearly emphasized on. Enormous work has to be done. People, the states, stakeholders, central government, all of us will have to work to achieve that.
We will help Gujarat target to meet half of its energy need through renewable energy by the year 2030. For this, we have started building the Dhirubhai Ambani Green Energy Giga Complex, over 5,000 acres in Jamnagar. This will generate a large number of green jobs and enable production of green products and materials, and will make Gujarat a leading exporter of green products. And we are ready to commission this in the second half of 2024 itself.
Over the next 5 years, the Adani Group will invest over rupees 2 lakhs crore in Gujarat, thereby creating over 100,000 direct and indirect jobs.
We concluded and are about to launch the building of a huge gigafactory for 20 gigawatts of lithium-ion batteries in Sonand. The project should start construction in the next couple of months. The Tata Group has also made a commitment and is on the verge of concluding and announcing a huge semiconductor fab in Dholera. And we are about to complete these negotiations and start in 2024.
Mr. Goenka, great to meet you here along the sidelines of Vibrant Gujarat. Thanks so much for joining us on CNBC-TV18. A key announcement, I'm told, you're about to make, especially concerning a very important investment deal with the government of Gujarat. Could you break this down and tell us what it's all about?
Basically, I think government of Gujarat is taking big steps towards the green energy and the green overall ammonia and the hydrogen. And we have signed an MOU with the government of Gujarat to produce 1 million tons of green ammonia in next 3 to 5 years. And accordingly, we have signed a MOU for 40,000 crores to invest in next 5 years.
All right. Could you give us some details about the investment? Where will it happen? What will it entail? And what does it actually mean on the ground?
Primarily, this is you produce, starting from the RE power, your own solar and the wind, and then you produce your hydrogen to then ammonia for exports. And this will be done in the Kutch district. And we have required land, as well as also we are bidding for the required port area for the export purposes.
Well, the action from vibrant Gujarat. And here's the latest on the government's capex plan for oil marketing companies. Sources tell us that the government's capital infusion into HPCL will be a two-stage process. Here's how it will work. The government will infuse equity into ONGC via preferential allotment, and ONGC will in turn infuse funds into HPCL. The size of the government's infusion into ONGC, IOC, BPCL will be as per the cabinet's approval. Sources say the government is unlikely to use the entire 30,000 crore rupee capex allotted for OMCs in FY24. Shares of Manappuram Finance down in trade today. This after the market regulator put a hold on the initial public offering of its subsidiary Asirvad Microfinance. Sources say that the regulator has raised 3 queries related to the IPO, which the company has resolved 2. However, the third query requires legal opinion. Aurobindo Pharma is looking to list its wholly owned subsidiary Eugia Pharma Specialities. This as per a money control report. The company plans to raise about 4,500 crore rupees through the proposed IPO. Axis Capital, Jefferies, Kotak Mahindra Capital and JP Morgan have been shortlisted as advisors along with 3 law firms. We will head into a break, but up next, the government dials ISRO for digitization of land records. That and more when we return. In another step towards digitization, the union government is planning to rope in ISRO for the digitization of land records. We learned from sources the government is planning a unique 14-digit alphanumeric ID to prevent the duplication of land records. Abhimanyu standing by with more. Abhimanyu, take us through this latest initiative of the government. When do we expect this to be rolled out?
Well, the union government is in talks with Indian Space Research Organization. The Ministry of Rural Development, rather, is in talks with ISRO to digitize all land records and also for geospatial mapping of the exact land parcels across the country based on their exact longitude and latitude. Now, earlier, the government last year had indicated that it aims to digitize all land records in India by the 31st of March 2024. However, the land records, the data would continue to remain with states since it still remains with the states. But the government's intention behind this possible move, behind this proposed move, is to ensure that mutation of land gets eased out and also litigation gets reduced in the long run. And still, mutation of land and any land-related dispute, as well as its resolution, takes a long time across several states. So the government's move is aimed at ease of living, at enabling ease of business, and also is aimed at enabling that citizens do not spend a lot of time as far as solving of land-related disputes is concerned. So clearly, the government is currently only in talks, and any more details are yet to come out in the public domain. But for now, what's known is that the digitization of land records would possibly be more pervasive with ISRO getting roped in. And the government's aim, of course, is to ease doing business, ease living. So clearly, it's a step in the direction of easing things for citizens, but it remains to be seen what are going to be the exact details of this proposed move.
All right, many thanks for joining us. On to CNBC-TV18 exclusive. The government is working on a fund to reduce the risk for banks that finance public and private acquisitions of electric buses. Sources tell us that an interministerial group is considering a fund with an outlay of up to 30,000 crore rupees. Parikshit standing by with more details. Parikshit, take us through the contours of this fund.
Well, the government has an ambitious plan to have 8 lakh electric buses by 2030. This is a roadmap that they are working towards. Now, they have realized that the electric bus ambitions of the government have not really taken off. And this is because the state transport units have not been fast enough to adopt electric buses. And secondly, when it comes to the private sector and even the public sector, there has been some sort of reluctance on the part of banks to lend to the EV space, especially electric buses and electric trucks, because they feel that this is a new technology, this is a new sector, and the resale values are not known as yet. So the interest rates are high and the credit flows are not to the extent that the industry really requires. So now the government is taking inputs from private bus aggregators, from SIDBI as well, and they're considering setting up a de-risking fund to the tune of 30,000 crores. Now, what will this do? This will enable the private sector companies to acquire more buses and the government will act as a guarantor of those loans. The government hopes that by this de-risking fund, the government will actually encourage private sector, private banks to lend more and get the private investments rolling as far as electric bus mobility goes. This will also be used for incentivizing setting up of public charging infrastructure for electric buses across the country, and the same electric chargers which are for buses, which will be used for trucks as well, because the government in the next phase of their mobility program wants to focus on trucks in a big way. It remains to be seen whether this de-risking fund will be separate from the FAME scheme or will be a part of the new FAME scheme. Interestingly, as far as FAME 3 goes, the government's proposal, the Ministry of Heavy Industries proposal, is still pending with the Finance Ministry. The government may also take a call on extending the current FAME 2 scheme till July because there is no approval for the next phase of the FAME scheme just yet.
All right. Many thanks, Parikshit. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's account on social media platform X was hacked late last night, with a post falsely claiming that the Bitcoin ETF has been approved. This led to chaos in the crypto market. SEC later clarifying that its account was hacked. Back in India, tech giant Apple has removed Binance and other crypto exchanges from its App Store. Rachna joins us now with more details. Rachna, two significant developments in the crypto space. Take us through both of them.
Yes, it has been a highly eventful day in the cryptocurrency world. The day kicked off with a series of tweets from the official account of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, incorrectly announcing the approval of a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund. This sudden announcement led to the liquidation of nearly $90 million worth of Bitcoin long and short positions in just 10 minutes. The frenzy was short-lived, with SEC announcing its X account had been compromised and the fake tweets were taken down. The market reaction was swift, with Bitcoin prices spiking to $47,900 from $46,000 and then dropping back to $45,400 once the tweets were exposed as fake. During this brief window of volatility, automated bots reacting to the false information took over $500 million in futures position. The ensuing market turbulence resulted in $50 million being liquidated in long positions, while shorts were impacted by $36 million. Now, the irony of the situation is noteworthy, considering the SEC's consistent warnings to traders about the dangers of misinformation on social media platforms like Twitter. The SEC has now advised traders to cross-verify information on its official EDGAR website before making any trading decisions based on tweets. Speaking of the decision on Bitcoin ETF, which was falsely announced in the compromised tweets, it is now expected from the SEC tonight or by tomorrow morning. Now, another significant development involves the removal of 8 crypto apps, including the world's largest crypto exchange, Binance, from the Apple Store here in India. This move is reportedly in response to a show-cause notice that was issued by the Finance Ministry, citing non-compliance with India's money laundering laws. In December last year, Binance had agreed to pay over $4 billion to US authorities after pleading guilty to similar money laundering charges over there.
All right, Rachna, many thanks for joining us. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360.